Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Boss Rush Podcast, the flagship show of Boss Rush Games. I'm your host this week, Corey Derrick, and alongside me is the wise Wisconsinite, Jesse Douglas.
How's it going, everyone?
The streamer's champion, Ray Apollo.
We back!
And from Xbox Expansion Pass, Luke Lohr.
Thank you for having me, guys. Good to be here. Thank you.
Thanks for coming on.
Yeah.
I've listened to the last few episodes of your show. I actually found you through Antonio Guillen, who was our guest last week.
Oh, what a great guy he is. What a good person. He's done a number of artistic things to help me out. What a good guy.
Yeah.
What a nice young man.
He's a good man.
I wish Antonio was just in everybody's lives. He's such a good dude. He's a great dude. Before we get into our housekeeping and stuff, Luke, I want you to tell us what Xbox Expansion Pass is. And tell us how you do a one-man show every week. How do you do this?
Oh, goodness. Well, it's an experience every week, that's for sure. Xbox Expansion Pass is a weekly Xbox podcast in which I kind of discuss the goings-on in the gamerverse as it pertains to the Xbox ecosystem, which is a mouthful, but we consider like all the relevant news stories and how they might impact Xbox and try to approach it from an analytical aspect as opposed to a strongly fan-based aspect or developer-based approach. And it's fun. Like sometimes we have guests on. I've had a couple ID at Xbox developers on, some engineers who work with like mixer streaming and light speed streaming. It's really, really neat to see. I've got Steven Spawn coming on, not this week's episode, but next week's episode to talk about able gamers. And I just try to discuss and spotlight different aspects of the gaming verse and then consider the news as it pertains to the world of Xbox as just a preferred ecosystem I like to enjoy.
Nice. So, why did you decide to do this as like a one-man show? Our normal host Edward Varnell does a one-man show called Optional Opinion, and it's always fascinated me how people do one-man shows. And I've had to do shows by myself in the past for other podcasts I used to be a part of and stuff, but doing that every week just seems like I applaud you because that seems like a lot of hard work to try to not just do everything by yourself, but just conversate with the audience as if they were there and kind of being the one man. So how do you do that every week?
Well, I thoroughly enjoy discussing video games. That's my passion, and I've been on a part of shows covering Xbox and gaming that had whole panels and just a partner of mine, and I've thoroughly enjoyed those experiences, and I would not pass up a chance to check out more of that. But in doing XEP solo, I get a chance to kind of ruminate on whatever it is I'm truly considering and thinking of it as being relevant in that moment, and I get a chance to have a voice. And the other aspect of the show is I get to spotlight whomever I like. So there's a bit of freedom in it, which is attractive to me. I like the idea that I can just do what I want. On the other hand, that's a tremendous amount of pressure, and I have to consider that if it fails, it's completely on me, and successful completely on me, and that's a balance of the two. And so it was just wanting a different pace from where I'd been, which was a more lighthearted show, to be a bit more analytical. I'm a teacher by day, and so I wanted my students to get a chance, if they saw my hobby, to see the more analytical approach of enjoying your hobby, but I enjoy both aspects. And so that was kind of the mindset behind it. And as time changes, my mood changes, and we'll see where it takes me a year from now, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. So we'll see.
That's awesome. Well, I will make sure to keep promoting Xbox Expansion Pass. People who have been following us know that our Xbox show, Arsenal X, used to have kind of like if we felt like doing like a bonus episode, we used to call it Expansion Pass, but just with like just an X, no EX, just the X. But yeah, that's cool. When I saw that kind of like reminded me that our Xbox show we used to do was a lot of fun, and we've actually had some people bring it up about bringing it back, and Arsenal X is well, we'll talk about that in the housekeeping, but yeah, Jesse and I were just like, man, Expansion Pass, that's a great name for a podcast. So
it is. I admire and appreciate your choices in that.
Yeah, Yeah. So, but congratulations on your one-man show. We will add you to our. I'm actually constructing a friends page for Boss Rush Games, our website, and we're gonna add Expansion Pass to that list. So
that's awesome, man. That's amazing. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll get with you after the show to send me if you want to send me art or links or anything to it, just to
Much appreciated, man. Thank you.
Throw your name out there. But we're going to get into some of this housekeeping real quick. I know this is the boring part of the show, but I think everybody will just have to skip
if you
ahead
keep telling
3
them,
minutes.
they're going to believe it's boring.
Hey, man, you know what? This is the Boss Rush podcast, Boss Rush Games flagship podcast, where each week we talk about the games that we love and everything about them. You can find the show on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, Stitcher, YouTube, and anywhere else you consume the podcast Tuesday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. Follow us on Twitter at Boss_Rush_Games, and on Facebook and Instagram at Boss Rush Games. Join our Discord, Xbox console community, and our Destiny clan. Just search Boss Rush Games. Live shows have returned, so you can follow us on Mixer and Twitch at Boss Rush Games Live. That is mixer.com/Boss Rush Games Live and twitch.tv/Boss Rush Games Live. All one word. To join the chat and ask us questions on air. You can also find all of our content on bossrushgames.com and subscribe to our podcast at bossrushgames.com/subscribe. Also, some upcoming shows from us. Pod and Play Revamped has officially started production. The show premieres Saturday, February 1st with Devil May Cry 5. Pod and Play is our seasonal show that lets you see the games that we love and talk about topics within the game, the companies that made them, and just the different themes that the games explore. So this first revamped season is going to be 10 episodes. So we really hope you check out our YouTube channel to find out more and check out the games that we're playing. The Retro Game Show is wrapping up The Legend of Zelda, A Link to the Past, and production has begun on the second wave with Super Metroid, Super Mario Bros. 3, and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time, coming to the Retro Game Show. Lastly, it is official. Arsenal X is making its grand return as we are finalizing how the show is going to be structured and everything. We're also finalizing Sunday Night Arsenal live streams on Boss Rush Games Live, which include a pre-show, podcast recordings, reactions to Inside Xbox, and of course multiplayer games that we find cool on Game Pass or just games that we like to play. So you can catch that on Sunday nights on Mixer and Twitch at Boss Rush Games Live. Now that the housekeeping's out of the way, Luke, we're going to start with you. What games have you been playing this week?
Oh, goodness. I am enjoying the lull before the storm, kind of amidst all the delays and stuff. I've been just enjoying evergreen titles while I wait for some of the stuff that I'm ready for. Right now, it's Star Wars Battlefront II, of all things, which shocks me in and of its own right, because I did dive in when that game first came out, and it was disappointing. I enjoyed aspects of it a great deal, and other things kind of defeated the fun for me. But in the Celebration Edition that they launched, kind of coinciding with Rise of Skywalker, I booted it back up, checked out the content there, checked out the way they delivered their content, and fell in love immediately. I've been diving in almost nightly with my friend Joseph Moran from the Trophy Room, and my friend Kevin Butler, who has a great name. He sounds like the old VP of PlayStation, but we've been diving in there, I would say 5 nights a week, and just saving and conquering the galaxy accordingly. That game has really come around, and it's impressive and surprising because Frostbite doesn't do many things well, but it does look good, and it does feel good in that game. And now that the economy's fixed, I'm having a blast with Battlefront 2 of all things.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's quite the common thread throughout the gaming world right now. A lot of people have gone back to it. So I don't think I've ever actually played the full game. I only played the demo of it, like the beta that came out. And then with everything that went on, I just never ended up picking it up. But I do have the EA access or whatever, so it is now downloaded. So I might go and check it out too, because I did like the first one. It felt, and I've heard that this new one they've kind of fixed some of the issues with the first one where it just kind of felt kind of plain and like basic in a lot of ways. Like there's a little bit more going on in this one, I've heard. So
well, there's
check it out.
It's a love letter to Star Wars fans in a number of different ways, which is nice. The single player campaign, there are definitely some low points, but Iden Versio is played by Janina Gavankar, and her story is compelling, and she's quite a good actor, and I really enjoyed the single player, but the multiplayer is where it's at, and it's just a love letter to fans. You know, and they've got content from the oldest stuff to even Solo and all the way to Rise of Skywalker. So it's neat to see that level of content.
Yeah.
I'll say that it's a love letter to fans, but it went through a few drafts, but everybody got to see all the drafts, and that's kind of where we are. It's like, I was writing a love letter to you, but I sent you every draft version that I had until I got it right, which is fine. But
a couple drunk texts in there, a couple of late night, hey, I'm so sorry at 4 a.m.
And then it also came with, postage due because you didn't send a stamp in. That's okay. It happens, but I'm glad it is where it is now. Absolutely. And the fact that you say that means I've actually been thinking about going back to it recently as well.
I actually I'm glad that you said that a couple weeks ago too. The thing is though, with these big multiplayer games, and I know that Battlefront 2 had a target on its back because A, it's EA, B, it's Star Wars. But these big, huge multiplayer games just seem to go through iteration after iteration and iteration, and that seems to be what they're talking about. Anthem's going through right now. Destiny went through this. All these games just keep getting kind of refreshes and not reboots to the extent, but the content just keeps added. They change things, and then eventually games become better once they take notes and learn from each other and stuff. I really think The Division also went through that as well, and
Siege.
Yeah, Siege went through that
example.
Yeah, so
even Sea of Thieves, it had its anniversary update in 2019, and goodness gracious, from the time that game quote came out to where it was in 2019, world of difference. And sometimes you nail it, and sometimes you miss it.
Did you guys sign in and get that cameo ship?
No, I did not. Ooh, and I might. I hope I didn't miss.
22nd.
I want to get it.
You got to the 22nd, don't you?
I think that this what you just said about multiplayer games though is a good thing and a sign of the times. Because you can do this now. I feel like it's, in most cases, it's the developer responding to community feedback and adjusting appropriately so that way people who want to enjoy their game can continue to enjoy that game or enjoy it more. It's nice that we're able to see these developers actually put in the time to as well. Okay, we had a vision for this. It didn't quite work out the way that we thought because, that's what you put out a game, you hope people like it the way that you put it out. But if you can adjust it and make it better the way that people will like it, why not? And I think that's a good thing to me. I don't think you're ever going to put out a perfect multiplayer game. Lightning doesn't always strike. Sometimes you get a game like that where people will love it and it's amazing and it's a hit, but that's not going to always happen. So I think it's still live in a space where we can fix it.
Yeah, and especially not on the deadlines that a lot of places are upheld to. I feel like you could see a perfect game come out if devs were actually allowed, a little bit more time, if it wasn't something that they had to do every single year, and things like that in a lot of cases where they've got so many different things that need to be done, and then they have to start a project after that's done right away, and that's the thing though. I think it's fine, it's fine the way that things go right now. Even with Anthem, I think it's just the problem is a lot of times they would almost be better off putting that letting people know initially that, hey, these things may not be as, expansive as we'd like it right quite yet, but it's something that we're going to try to work on. But I think the thing is it's hard because then it's how long is it going to take? And if you Anthem, if you tell them you're going to have something for them at this and this time, and then it doesn't happen, well, now you're, in a bad position. But I think as long as people communicate, and I feel like a lot of a lot of the developers that have made games where stuff started off kind of basic and they've added to it. A lot of the times they've, at least kept in contact with people about it and kind of updated people a lot. I feel like they did that with Sea of Thieves quite a bit. They were constantly making videos and, like trying to interact with people and let them know where they're at and how things are going and what their things that they want to do are going to be and when they'll be coming out and things like that. But
I mean, you put it simply right there. Communication. We live in a time of instant communication, and that makes it harder than ever for these kind of companies because they're with a medium that is always looking for information but always wants something different. So, yeah, the more that they communicate and the different styles they communicate, it's hard to keep up with that. And that's something that I actually really do want. I want to get into the industry specifically to help with that angle of the industry because communication is what's going to win the day every single time.
And Ray, you make a good point. It's not just communication; it's how you communicate. Because we've seen roadmaps be very damning and take people down the wrong path. We've seen people be so frustrated, right? And we've seen people be attacked on Twitter, or at the very least questioned. On the simplest terms, questioned. On the most extreme, attacked. And then they take a defensive tone, which sets off the community in and of itself, and you get a cyclical problem. So the way you communicate, if one thing we learned in the past 2 years, in the latter part of this generation, is that it's important to use the word beta appropriately.
Yes. Oh,
it's a lesson that I think Stadia could have learned. Early access is a powerful statement to use. And if you do that, you can look at was it xCloud right now versus the way Stadia is rolling out. You can look at Anthem's crash and burn. What was it? Fallout 76's break everything. I mean, there's a way to communicate and discuss with your fans and audiences, and we've seen some good and bad examples of late.
Yeah. So, is that all you've been playing? Is Battlefront?
I wrapped up the Darksiders games. I'm really looking forward to Darksiders Genesis hitting consoles, and that was kind of a guilty pleasure game. One thing I enjoy are the sevens. I like swimming in sevens, playing a lot of different games, and the truth is,
on a spiritual level.
yeah, I've been having a good time with that kind of thing and just rolling through and enjoying games that maybe I missed at launch and just playing through. Game Pass is it is a gift to gamers to just try out games, and if it's not for you and you didn't break your wallet, I love that. So I've been just checking out smaller stuff. It's been a good time.
Nice. Yeah, Darksiders is one of those games that it's weird to say that I secretly like because I feel like it's just a thing that a lot of people just like quote secretly like Darksiders, and I actually just downloaded because we're doing a thing called the Boss Rush Backlog Challenge this year, and Darksiders, all three of them. I've played them all, but I've never finished them all, and those games are part of that challenge for me this year. So I hear you there. Darksiders is a interesting series. So
it's good to get time to play these before kind of the heavy hitters of the year. This is the right time to get to do that,
Yeah, especially, like you said earlier, all the delays that just happened. So, yeah. All right, Ray, it's your turn. What are you playing? What did you stream this week?
So I've been playing a lot of the Division 2. We actually just hit World Tier 1 in the Division 2. So this is me going back to the Division because I played it initially on PS4 and did not like it. Could not find anything to like in it. And was like, I just didn't know what happened. Just didn't like it at all. And then one day I was like, you know what? I want to give this a shot. I saw what they had done. They said they made some updates. Didn't look into specifically what they had done, but I just wanted to try it again. Something was like, you should give that another shot. And I did. And I fell in love with it. I really do enjoy what they did with this game. It's easy to play. It's easy to look at. The story is interesting enough to follow. This is a good game. Like I said, I would also put this in, the sevens category. That's exactly what it is, and I really like it. It's so good. And I've been playing with other people, which really did enhance the experience. Is actually doing it the way they intended you to do it. Is playing with your friends.
Yeah.
That made a big difference. So I played a lot of that. I'm going to keep playing it because it's just easy to play, which I appreciate games that make it easy for me to play them, especially games like that are kind of changing over time.
It's kind of like Destiny for me, where I just kind of like if I just need something easy to play for about 30 minutes, 40 minutes, just hop in and, sometimes Destiny takes that long to get into a game.
True.
Oh my gosh, dude! Sometimes like I get into Gears or Halo or something, and it's so easy to jump in and stuff. When you load Destiny, man, it's just like the loading screen. Then you got to choose your character. Then you got to load into orbit. Then you got to choose to go to the tower to get your bounties, and it's just like this big load. And I'm just like, oh,
like why? Why'd you do this?
I know,
because even on the One X, I remember it took forever to load stuff. So
yeah,
there that is. I've also been playing Dragon Ball Z Kakarot came out yesterday, and I've been anticipating that game since they initially showed us that game. So I'm having a blast. This is a true love letter to Dragon Ball Z fans. Like we're talking about Star Wars, but this game is a straight up ballad. It's a power ballad to Dragon Ball fans, and I love it. It's so much fun, and it's pretty, and it sounds good. Because I've always had a problem with anime games because in most of those games, they never relicense the music that you have from the series, and that's also kind of what makes those anime special. And Dragon Ball, they did that. They kept the same sounds, the same music, and I'm like, yes, please. This is how you make this experience full for me. I love it.
Yeah.
Other than that, just kind of offline Tokyo Mirage Sessions. I'm going to play that by my lonesome today, like because I have to have my off-stream games to keep myself, in my love of video games. Started the Witcher 3 DLC.
Oh, geez.
Oh, he signed up for some work on that one.
50 or 60 more hours of The Witcher.
Yeah.
They're like 100 hours now, apparently. Because
which one did you start? Blood and Wine?
I started Blood and Wine.
Okay,
Blood and Wine is the one I started. And I'm like, well, here we go. And I blame the TV show, which I absolutely adored. And I'm not mad about it, but it's like, here we go. Yeah, another 60 hours of Witcher. Because when that game came out, 2015, I played that game for probably at a minimum 120 hours. At a minimum.
We are of the same brethren, Ray. Right with you, my dude. Right with you.
I'm excited. I'm really excited to jump back into it. It's just been something I've been wanting to do, and today I was like, you know what? This week I was like, I'm just gonna do it.
I'm just gonna do it.
Here we are. And I'm sure I've been playing some other stuff that I can't really think about off the top of my head, but those are the big ones. So
nice. Yeah, I know a lot of people have been looking forward to Dragon Ball. So.
Yeah, and that's the one that isn't a fighter, right? I think it's an
open world RPG.
It's an action. Yeah, it's an action RPG, like an open world-ish. The puppy was like, "Hey, people are here."
The dogs. That's funny.
Yeah, it's not an episode unless the dog barks at someone coming home.
Unless Lennon is hanging out. He's the boss rush
I will
mascot.
say our dog May, it's named after May from Overwatch. She now knows which doors are being opened, and so she only barks when the front doors open.
Yeah, yeah.
The garage door, she knows it's either me or Mom. If it's the front door, she's like, "Hey, somebody else is here. I don't know who it is, but I want to let you know."
I can literally walk through a door and then come back to it like 2 seconds later, and he barks at the door.
It's because dogs think you're leaving forever.
Who do you think it is?
That's true. It's like, hey, but I thought you left like 2 years ago. It's been like 30 seconds.
I just had to pee. I just shut the door. Oh man.
Yeah.
I love dogs. Oh man.
Same.
I do too.
The cat that just lays there and
my wife has a cat, so
just sleeps through life.
Dude, my wife's cat woke us up at like 6 o'clock this morning, and the kid was sleeping so good, man. And the cat just, because when I get up for work, I feed the cat at like 6 o'clock. And, just so she doesn't wake my wife up, and didn't wake up at 6 o'clock today, so she was there scratching at the foot of the bed, scratching our hands that were hanging off the edge. Like, and my wife just sprayed her with the water bottle, and then she comes right back in, and
yeah,
it's bad.
Yeah, ours is the same way. She's regimented, but she's also a crackhead because we got her on like painkiller stuff because it's like she has some issues. She's older, and so like we we'll mix in the half of a pill with some like the canned food stuff. And so, like, yeah, if she'll bug you for like 3 hours straight if you don't give Give it to her. She's a crackhead. But yeah, cats.
Wow.
Cats.
Jesse, what are you playing? Anything
Well,
exciting?
okay. Well, kind of. I mean, I got a good jump on my backlog. And so me and Corey finally finished Gears of War 5.
Yeah, it turns out we were literally like 3 chapters from the end.
That's right.
Yeah.
We talked about this. I remember that.
Did you?
Yeah.
You guys beat the game, right? All of you.
Oh yeah.
Beat the game?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. We were at that Brumac fight before the without spoiling the choice.
Yeah.
That's where we were at. So we literally played for like 45 minutes and beat the game.
And we had it on like the second to last hard mode, and then we're like, yeah, why don't we just turn it down? Because it was just getting so ridiculous, like just nonsense deaths, like, and things were happening that like were like that literally, I think, the game breaking. It still has issues with like co-op, like online co-op connection stuff. Yeah,
because like we were experiencing not only just lag, but like, you know, random grenades going off when there was no enemies around, and like it was just like, it was ridiculous. Even on normal, like we were at the one part where you get to this beacon, and when Jesse would pick up the Hammer of Dawn, it would just end up somewhere else on the map. Like when he would pick it up.
Yeah, because I remember that. Like whenever I would pick up the Hammer of Dawn, the second I picked it up, like a second later, it would just fall back onto the ground, and it would re-pick up the gun that I had dropped to replace it with, and then I would have to go to it again and then pick it up again, and then that time it would stay in my, and you know, as my replacement gun. But yeah, for whatever reason, it was doing stuff like that, and I had like guns I would switch out, and then they would just, even though they still had ammunition in them, they would disappear sometimes, and there's just all kinds of weird things going on. But it was tolerable once we dropped the level down of difficulty. You know, like there was still some parts that were a little harder, but yeah, it just like when you're lagging and stuff, and you know, things need to be so precise, it's really hard. It was really hard at times to you know, enjoy it, but we definitely were enjoying it when we finished it there, once we dropped the level down, because it wasn't like just nonstop dying, and I don't know how we would have beat the end parts without dropping the level down, because some of them, like I said, were hard just even on normal.
Pouncers and like all those pouncers and like the heavy swarm guys, like it was like, don't get me wrong, like back when I was a young lad, you know, I played through Gears 1 and 2 on Insane by myself, and that was a good time. Now, you know, being a dad and a husband and someone who has to actually work for a living, don't have the patience for that. Not one bit. So
Yep.
Some would say you didn't beat the game unless you played it on the hardest difficulty without save states and only wearing one sock.
I know.
Yeah, because if not, then you just cheated yourself, bro.
That's right.
I know.
That's right.
Cheated yourself, and not just yourself.
I'm not a real gamer, guys.
but also the game.
I'm not a real gamer.
And you better not have had fun when you did it. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, because games aren't meant to be fun.
I know. I should have tweeted every 5 seconds about how much I hated the game, and then when I finished, I'm like, that was awesome. I'm hardcore.
Yep.
Stuff like that.
Yep.
You know. So
I will never understand gating fun in the gaming verse. Like, what's the point?
They don't want anybody else to have fun. I get it. Now I'm like, oh, now I get it. You just want to have fun. Nobody else can have fun unless it's you. Oh, jeez.
What else are you playing, Jesse?
So I finished Spec Ops The Line. It's a 360 game. I don't know. So I was asking Ed, have any of you like finished that game or played that game then?
I finished it.
Which one? Sorry.
Spec
you
Ops
did
The
finish
Line.
it?
Which one?
Spec Ops.
Oh,
Spec
yes,
Ops
I have finished that.
The Line.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Were you prepared? Like, did you know what you were getting into? Like, with what type of, like, the context of the story and whatnot?
Kind of, because Corey and Ed were the ones who had told me that I should check it out. And so I had bought it a long time ago, and I just never got around to. It was like a game that I knew I would like, and I just wanted to wait for the right time to be in the mood to be to play it. And so, yeah, I was like, you know what, I really should finally get to this game, and I loved it, like right off the bat, like right from the beginning. I do like how they kind of like slowly ease into the like psycho, like, like kind of weird stuff going on. Because like at first it doesn't feel like it's that kind of game at all. It just feels like a regular third person shooter, and then it just gradually gets like more and more interesting, and it just really was an amazing game. So
yeah,
I loved it a lot.
I bought it because when it came out, I was really into Gears like a lot during the 360 era, and I remember I got Spec Ops The Line and Army of Two: The 40th Day on the same day. And I was like, well, I like Gears and I like third-person shooters, so I'm going to play these games. And I didn't really know anything about Spec Ops The Line. I was just like, oh man, this is a cool third-person shooter-looking game. And then people started talking about it on podcasts and stuff that I was listening to at the time, and they were about to do some sort of spoiler cast on it, and I was like, well, I want to finish it before I listen to that spoiler cast. So I like plowed my way through. The last probably third of the game is when it really starts getting into that what's real and what's not situation. Sorry that I'm spoiling a 8-year-old 9-year-old game at this point, but it's really something that should be experienced. And there are like 4 different endings to that game depending on certain things you do. So I'm guessing there's probably one if you find all the intel or something. Yeah.
But I did for sure the 2 of them because I won't really spoil it just in case, but yeah, I did 2 of them. There's at least 2 or more. So
yeah. So
the only other thing the only other thing too that I had played is I did play some Mario Odyssey. I finally finished the second world, which is by far my least favorite. I just wanted to get it done. I just didn't I don't know what it was about that because that's the one where you're in, like, there's frozen stuff out in the desert or whatever.
Oh,
I love that one.
I thought you were talking about the world with the dinosaur in it.
No, I love the first.
The dinosaur one is the first one, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
The second one is definitely.
Yeah, I loved that first one. That first one was. I don't know. I'm not a fan of desert levels in general in games, but I'm only a little bit into the third world right now. But so far I'm liking that world quite a bit. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. I did enjoy like the once you got more towards the end of that second world, and then like when everything kind of melted and there was a little, there was some other things to interact with and try to find and stuff like that. But it just, I don't know what it was about that world, but I had played it, and then before I bought it, and then I just kind of just was done with it for a while. My son wanted to get it though, and so he ended up getting it for Christmas, and I just the other day I was like, you know what, I'll play that, go back to it and try to get to the next world, just get that world done with and see what's after it. So I'll probably be playing that here and there for the next couple of weeks and stuff, so till I finish it. But
nice. Yeah, I think the real appeal of that game is what opens up after you quote roll credits, with the way the worlds open up and stuff. But
okay.
I never went after I rolled the credits. I was like, I don't really feel like going back. I don't think I liked Mario Odyssey as much as a lot of other people did.
I mean, I'm also in that boat. I enjoyed it for what it was. But I'll be very honest. I had a much more fun with 3D World than I did without.
Yeah, so did I.
I'm right with you in all of those sentiments. Very much agree.
Yeah, I love 3D World. 3D World's my favorite Mario game since Mario 64, I think. So
that is the next port I'm hoping for to the Switch.
It needs to be.
Well,
it needs to be.
There's 3 coming this year, so apparently. So
I hope that's one of them. That'd be fantastic.
That is the exact type of port they need if they are indeed to compete with the Sony and Xbox launches of next gen. If Breath of the Wild 2 is not on their slate, they're going to need some heavy hitters in terms of ports to keep Switch relevant in the news cycle. Not relevant to gamers, because it will always be relevant to gamers. Nintendo has a magic about them.
Thank you for phrasing it that way, because that's very important phrasing.
Yes.
Absolutely. They've got an incredible catalog. They know how to deliver it, but you want to keep them relevant on the web pages and the news pages and recycling into the feeds. And so with 3D World would be an excellent port. I think Metroid is one that we always say, and we're always disappointed it's not there. But it's not a banger in sales. I get that. It's
yeah, me too. I get that, but I want it. Give it to me, please, Nintendo.
Right with you.
Well, I'm sure there's a lot of people like me who I've kind of played some of those the Metroid Prime games. I played, I think, the first one a little bit, but I just never really got around to playing the other ones, and it's something I would like to experience.
I think a lot of people now would really enjoy the Metroid Prime trilogy. A lot of people, I think it would be right in their alley. I really think it would be a good one to bring back about now.
Yeah, well, that's the thing is there is such thing too. A lot of times I feel like of games coming out and being ahead of their time, and people not quite being into it at that moment, and then but it's like if it were to come out later, that people would appreciate it more. I feel like that there was almost kind of a sense of that with Sunset Overdrive, where when it first came out, a lot of people weren't quite interested in it. But once people that did like it and seen what kind of great game it was and got that word out there, people realized that maybe they were wrong to not give it a shot, and you heard more people trying it out. There's a couple of things that I would love to see come. I want the Pikmin games to come backwards, be backwards compatible or get a package deal or whatever. But
I'd love to see?
I love the Pikmin games.
Star Fox Zero DX, where they go in and they address some of the concerns of Star Fox Zero. Fix whatever it was, and let's check it out. Let's let a new generation see maybe something that needed to be in the oven a little longer. Go ahead and refine that, because I would love Star Fox to be in its glory day. I think we all love Star Fox as a character, but his games haven't been done justice since truly Star Fox 64. And it's a different type of game for a different era. I get it.
That's why I'm scared that we're never going to get that again.
Well, I think
I'm scared.
I think we got.
What are you
our
saying?
Star Fox game in Starlink this year.
Or
this.
I like that game. Don't tell anybody. I think Ray, you're. When has Nintendo failed to deliver Fire Emblem in every character reveal? Sorry, I didn't mean to. I'm going down a. Pardon me, I didn't mean to decline the mood here. Just Nintendo. When I think about it, they give it, they take it. They give it, they take it.
I mean, Star Fox, just give them to Ubisoft at this point. I'm fine with that. Let somebody else hang out with that. I mean, I see Nintendo's been a lot more trusting as of recent with some of their IPs, which is awesome, and I appreciate that. But maybe let Ubisoft, and maybe Starlink was to test, and they're like, "Hey, you passed, so here you go." Make a Star Fox game. I agree. I bought it for the Star Fox.
I know that's the only reason why I bought it too.
That's the only reason why I bought it. And that game would not have been anything I ever would have been close to buying it if it didn't have the Star Fox stuff.
Yeah.
The toys sank the budget, but the gameplay was fine.
It was good. It was a good playing space game, I thought.
I agree. Mm-hmm. I agree, and I enjoyed it for that. I had the digital version with everything.
Yeah.
Same.
Yeah, see, I think that's the best way to play that game, and I think if I get that, I think I'd maybe play it more. But I just kind of like with all the toys stuff and all that, I just couldn't really get into it as much as I'd like to.
Yeah,
and you must consider also we're not the like we're adults. We're not the kids audience.
We are,
but even the kids didn't buy it. The kids the toys didn't sell.
I mean, let's be real. What and that's a hard sell because I could see a kid going if they gave them look at all these Toys to Life toys. You've got not even at the time because it was at the tail end. Disney Infinity, the Spyro ones, the Skylanders, and then you have Starlink. Mm-hmm. I'm gonna be honest. I don't think a kid's gonna go for the. I mean, maybe some of them will because that's kids, but most kids ain't gonna go for the. Hey, these weird space toys you've never seen before. They look like anything you know.
The nerds like us are gonna go for them, and that's about it.
I
mean, they tried.
I have every single Disney Infinity character sitting on a shelf.
While we're mentioning great games that deserved a second chance, where's the all digital version of Disney Infinity? Those assets exist.
I know.
You just give me that. That was a fun playing.
Dude, you
know just fun.
I think the ghost of Walt Disney deleted those himself.
Did you know they have like over 100 characters that were in development when they canceled that game?
That's nuts.
Oh, yeah.
Stop killing my soul.
Man, it makes me really sad because the game aside, those figures are just cool.
Yeah.
As a Disney fan over here, those figures are just cool, and like I would like to just like put up shelves and just have them line the top of the there's like a border around my office, but 2
and 3.0 I thought were good compilations there.
Yeah, for sure.
I almost bought the Sully one from. We were at a Goodwill in Upper Michigan, and they had the Sully character or whatever in like the little glass case thing.
I remember when we were at a Toys R Us in Sandusky, me and my cousin, because we were looking for like game stuff and stuff that was on clearance and stuff. We used to go out all the time and look for cheap games to buy and collect and stuff. And we went up there and it was the saddest thing. They had a whole bin of Disney Infinities for like 99 cents. Oof. All of them. And I was like, oh man, if I didn't have them already.
I'm all again.
Yeah. So yeah. So I guess it's my turn to talk about what I've been playing, which isn't much, sadly, because of all the stuff we're prepping for and doing and recording, and also trying to get the website up to date. I would say. Well, I'd say it was up to date. It's back cataloging everything on there, and that's been a website simulator and YouTube simulator are not fun when you have to do a bunch of it at one time. But it's a work in progress. I've been working on that and having a place for our live shows to be on there as well. So I'm working on that. But other than that, I've been playing. I finished Gears with Jesse. I played some Master Chief Collection multiplayer, which, by the way, still very good.
Very good. Like it's the best it's ever been. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I still like Halo 4 a lot. I know a lot of people don't really care for Halo 4, but I still really like the way Halo 4 feels. It feels like the next step of Halo, and like I like Halo 5 also, right? Like I think the movement and stuff feels good in that game, but I still feel
guns look great.
Yeah, I still feel like Halo 4 feels like classic Halo with modern, nuances like sprinting and some aim down sight stuff on other weapons feel better and stuff like that. But Master Chief Collection still feels really good. And then I did play about the first hour of Devil May Cry 5, and that is a great looking, great feeling game. I'm really glad I started playing that, and I think Ray told me to play it about during our Game of the Year discussions. And man, as someone who loves the Ninja Theory Devil May Cry game, this game feels a lot like that. But more modern, and I think that game looks phenomenal. The opening scene right after the prologue where they're driving the bus down the road and it goes into slow-mo, and then the girl catches the cigarette in her mouth during the slow motion scene.
Oh yes.
That is man, I can't wait to keep playing that game. That's probably going to be the game I focus on after. I do want to finish Hellblade first. I
need to start that. Dang it.
Yeah, I played about another half hour of Hellblade last night, and I just got off the bridge onto the shipwreck shore. I'm trying to do a 100% run where I find all the lore stones, so that's kind of why it's taking me so long. But I think Hellblade is a very fascinating game. I almost wish it didn't have any combat in it. I wish it was just all puzzles.
It is odd because its combat is so good, and yet the game is not about that.
I know.
There's so much more to it.
I know. Although the last episode I did say I did not care for the combat, but that was before I figured out that you can block and parry attacks, and that changed my whole entire feeling on that. So
hey, look, video game.
Turns out when you learn how to play a game, it becomes more fun. Who knew? Who
that how it works?
Yeah. But by the way, did you guys see the tweet from Melina Jurgensen for her makeup test for the new trailer? She put she just took a headshot of her in the makeup for the new trailer for Hellblade 2. Looks really good. I gotta tell you, man.
Well, I mean, what we've seen in that trailer, man, I cannot wait.
Yeah, it's so weird to see this unassuming woman, she's literally their video editor, and seeing her in Hellblade 1 and now in Hellblade 2, she just looks like this kind of laid back, kind of shy person, right? And you see her in the trailer, and you're like, wow, there's a reason why people can act, and you just man, that trailer is really good. But Hellblade is also a really, really good game, and on Game Pass, by the way, everybody, if you
indeed it is,
you should play it. Yeah, but that's about it. Like I said, I've been working a lot this week. I've been getting up at 5:30 in the morning to edit and work on stuff, and then I go to work and come home, and I've been working until about midnight every night this week, just getting our back catalog stuff on the website, and it's been a long week. I'm gonna just throw that out there, but
sounds like it.
Yeah, and Ed and I recorded a couple things this week, and we recorded almost a 2-hour POW block on Thursday again, so yeah, it's been one of those weeks. But hard work. You can't succeed if you don't work hard at it, I guess, is what people keep telling me. So that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to work hard. So, all right, why don't we get into some of these questions here? It's time for what does Ed call it? The question corner. Remember, you can email us at
the question block.
No, that's
the question
block.
That's right.
You can email us at bossrushgamespro@gmail.com or follow us on social media and look for our question thread to send us your questions. We're going to start with the person who seems to send us questions every week for some reason. Deshaun, you need a life. I'm sorry. I can say that because I've met him twice, but Deshaun, I'm worried about you, man. You listen and watch all of our stuff all the time. Do you need a hobby?
I think you guys are his hobby.
I was to say, that sounds right.
I'm just kidding. I love Deshaun. He knows I'm just messing with him. I saw him at Aldi a couple weeks ago. He literally lives within driving distance of where I live, and I don't know. He's a cool dude. Do you guys think we are looking at a time where console generations are an archaic way of thinking? Do you think that this is the step where console gaming becomes more like PC gaming in terms of scaling and features? I mean, I feel like, we've been looking at console generations since the beginning of video games, right? Like we just kind of assume, okay, we've just gone through the steps of, okay, the next consoles are coming out, they're only going to play these games, yada yada. But with Phil Spencer's interviews and what Matt Booty's saying about things, and those ridiculous headlines about Xbox Series X not having any exclusives for like a year or two, like I think this is that step, right? Like I think Xbox is the beginning of blurring the lines of what is a console generation and do they even exist anymore. I really feel like, really, if you look outside of gaming, Apple's been doing this for a while with iPads and phones and stuff. And, Nintendo even was doing it in the 2000s with the DS, where you started with the DS and the DS Lite, they could play GBA games. And then, if you wanted to have a adjustable light on your DS, you bought the DSi or the DSi XL. And then if you want to play 3DS games, you bought the 3DS, but they still played DS games, right? Like I think there have been other examples of this, but I think this is really the first kind of mainstream outside of PC gaming way of looking at, okay, this generation is clearly being blurred. So, but what do you guys think?
So
go ahead, Ray. Yeah, good. No, Ray. After you, good sir.
Guess first. You a guest in this house, so you go first.
Well, I think one of the things when we look at console generations, we don't know the answer to the question until well into or towards the end of that generation before we're able to look back. A good example of this would be the Dreamcast having an internet port on it, and it was ahead of its time, but people weren't ready for it. You saw Microsoft try this kind of blurring of generations with the digital storefronts and the digital methods at the beginning of the 2013 Xbox One, and that was a disaster as well. So the context of the conversation changes the way that we look at generations overall. However, I do think that we are seeing companies, in an effort to make more money, change the way they're bringing us content. Hardware gating is no longer going to be a thing because more people playing your content, engaging with your content, means more dollars being spent. So it's more likely to see that, yes, new generations will be more iterative, smaller cycles of hardware in between because they won't do terribly drastic things in between. But then if you were to step back and look at a 6 to 7 year gap, they will be more drastic. And that's a good thing because cross-gen and catalogs that travel with you and forward mean that you don't need to, when you do buy hardware, buy 5 games, trade off everything that you had before, and be locked into just those 5 games. You have stuff for a library that travels with you. So I like that. I do think it's an archaic way of thinking. However, that it will take time for the general public and the general consumer base to make that transition. You don't just flip a switch. Sony has 104, 105 PlayStation 4s out there, 105 million PlayStation 4s out there in there. And Jim Ryan has said they want to transition that consumer base as quickly as possible. Well, that's going to take a long time to do. Whereas Microsoft's approach is different with 50 million boxes out on there, but they're going to reach more screens faster with their approach, and they will each learn from each other. So I have no problem with the transition to a new way, and I do think it is likely that we see them take a more PC-esque approach. But I go into console gaming because I don't want to worry about my graphics card. I don't want to worry about the drivers therein. So that will always exist. It'll just change over time. That's all it will come down to. Xbox. I'm talking a lot. I apologize, but console streaming is now being tested with the insider ring for Xbox gamers right now. That means that you won't need certain hardware to just play whatever is branded Xbox. That's awesome. I love that. That means more people play the game, and I do not care if my friend is playing on the latest and greatest system, so long as we're playing Halo Infinite together, as long as I'm having a good time. Don't care where the headset or any of that's from. Just want to play.
Right. Yeah. Making Game Pass Ultimate available for, like, if you have the same games across, mostly across Xbox and PC, and it's cool because I do have a iMac that I'm working off of here, but I just installed Windows on it, right? So I can play some of these PC games, because the one I'm really looking forward to is Gears Tactics, because I'm not eventually, I'm sure, I did hear on a couple podcasts that they might try to make the console version a launch game with the Series X, cross-platform with the Xbox One, but I'm not waiting till November to play Gears Tactics. So I did do that, and it's really interesting to see, like, I downloaded Sea of Thieves as like a test run on PC, and my progress was just there. Like, for the limited progress, I would say, from the Xbox version, because I've only played with Jesse and a few other people when it was us playing multiplayer, and just seeing the progress carry over and just be like, oh, well, my Xbox is in the living room, so I'll just go play this on PC instead. And plugging in my controller and it just working with Windows was also a nice thing to see. There are a few little hiccups so far. Like I do think I need to format a Windows external hard drive to download certain games. I don't know why Sea of Thieves downloaded, but Halo Reach won't download for some reason when I try to install it to an external hard drive. But I use the same external hard drive. I never formatted it to Windows, and when I flip back and forth between Mac OS and Windows, where I edit all the stuff on through Mac OS, and I think that's the reason. But I really like to see the progress carry over, and like you said, Xbox is becoming a platform no matter where you're playing these games, right? And I think that's something that is really, really nice to see them try to do, and even if you're playing games on Steam, like, those games are still integrated into Xbox Live in some way, and you're still going to be able to play, right? Right, like, you can still play Halo Reach and Gears 5 with Microsoft Store users, right? So yeah, and Jesse, like, you've been playing through xCloud also.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and that's been working pretty well. Obviously there's a little bit of an issue. Like, it doesn't work as well on internet connection through your phone, just because, unfortunately 4G it can technically is strong enough to play on, but it's at the lowest ring, like, of kind of the amount of internet that you need to be able to play streaming. It has worked for me, but there's so many places that have Wi-Fi and stuff, and it works on a decent Wi-Fi connection, so it works fine on there. Like, I don't have any issues when I'm on Wi-Fi, but yeah, and I've just been doing the console streaming, so I'm streaming from my console at home to my phone, so and that's been working well. Now, I would imagine streaming from the other way would possibly be a better connection, but I'm not sure. I guess I haven't really tried that much. My friend Pat did, I believe. He tried it, and he said it worked well for him. So, yeah, I mean, it's it's still obviously in beta, but I think, honestly, like, I'm surprised at how well it works for what it is. So,
yeah.
Like, and then as far as his question, like, yeah, I think we've, unfortunately, like you guys talked about it last week, there is kind of a lot of, like, weird mixed, like, information going out there that's kind of taken a negative approach towards Microsoft and the way they're, that they've chose to do things. But I honestly, like, as far as it goes with the like exclusive thing, like, I don't know why they wouldn't be doing, like, making the games look better on the newer consoles and run better on the newer consoles, and but it would work just fine on the older consoles. Like they've done basically almost every generation. Those last couple of games that come out that are for both of them, like Nintendo has done it, Xbox did it before, PlayStation has done it, I believe, with like 1 or 2 games. Like I think there was still some that they didn't let, that weren't able to be played on either system, but at least, they used to do that a lot more, I feel like. And I really don't see why now all of a sudden that's an issue. But I think we could possibly too in the future see a time where the systems are even maybe more like a PC, where you could like eventually, like they might actually, I don't know that they would go to graphics cards being able to be changed out and swapped or anything like that, but I could see them finally relenting and saying, hey, from now on, kind of like the 360 did, but not the we want to make money way, and actually make it where you can pull your hard drive out and put a bigger one in, like maybe like modding it in ways like that. But I don't know that they would ever really do anything more than that. But yeah, I don't know. I guess, I don't know. It's hard to say. That's the thing, like who knows what direction ultimately like things could go in. But I think if anything, it's gonna just most likely be the streaming way that would be, more of the future.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, this is a good question, because now we're at this juncture, this place in time where things are actually changing, and we can see it. For those of us who are paying attention, we can see it changing, and this is good. And you kind of hit it earlier when you said they're changing because they found different ways to essentially get your money, that's how business works. People they started to pay attention when people started to buy things digitally more. They're like, okay, so they are starting to finally move towards this digital future that we've been trying to push them towards, because as the consumers, we like the way things were, and it's because it was working. We've gotten to this point where they've been trying new things that haven't worked so well, but they've all been these small tests to see how far they can push us in a certain direction, and they still get us to spend our money. And we're now at this point where Microsoft they learned the hard way, and that was with the sales of the Xbox One console. They learned that it can't just be a console. You can't focus on just a console moving forward. And they learned that the fastest, because you fail hard and fast, and they did, I think. And so with them moving more towards a subscription model and making it more accessible on more screens, that's how they're gonna be successful within themselves.
And it almost like looks like, now this is kind of a different topic we can have a different day, but it seems that Sony is almost taking notes with that rumor that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to come to PC.
Absolutely. Like he said as well, they're learning from each other.
Yeah.
They are absolutely learning, because I don't think truly, and this is just a guess, that most of the stuff that Sony's been doing was always in their plan. It's just they saw something that's like, okay, well, no, the market did respond well to them doing that, so we should probably get out a look, and we can make it happen. So I think they are, which is good.
And I would argue anyone that is not in favor of bringing great games that are exclusive to their platform to a PC space is missing the greater point of, if more people play the game that you like, you're going to get more of it. Why would we?
Money equals more stuff.
Especially because software is what makes the money, right?
Right.
Exactly.
Why do I care if somebody's enjoying a game that I liked on a different box? That makes no sense.
Remember that conversation we had about people gatekeeping fun? Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
people play
people
play games that you can get on the Switch and stuff like that on their phones. Now, in my opinion, is that the ideal way to play it? No, but who cares if they're still having fun? They're buying the game. You're making money off it. Who cares?
I mean, look, this is like, we had this conversation on a Nintendo Pal Block like 2 or 3, maybe 3 years ago at this point, where like this was when my wife and I were starting to talk about having a kid, and I was playing a lot of Zelda in handheld mode, but then I was playing it on the TV for bigger story moments, and we had a conversation about bigger games like Destiny and The Division and games like that, where I would spend a lot more time in those games if I had the time to play them, right? And the xCloud, the way xCloud seems to be going, like if I could just sit there and grind out a couple things on Destiny, on my phone, and then play on the TV with my Xbox friends, and then move to PC and play it when I'm streaming, and all just have one account, and it all just works, and it all just, my silver from Destiny transfers over to all three of these different places depending on where I'm playing it or how I'm playing it or the reason that I'm playing it. Like, that's the world I want to live in, man.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's also, they're paying attention to these trends.
Yeah.
I would like to guess that most people now are far willing to play games on smaller screens like iPads and phones than they were a few years ago. Video games, consoles in general, were these big screen TV things. That was how you enjoyed a video game. But now they've got it to a point where you can make things look great on a smaller screen. You can make stuff look great on a 6-inch screen, a 10-inch screen. They look fantastic still, and people are willing to enjoy them in those settings. And so, of course, why not make it scalable? Why not allow people to play on any device that they want to play on? Because now we know that they're going to do that regardless of what the device is that they're playing on. That's the stuff they're paying attention to, and I'm really happy to see it. Now, when Deshaun says, is it an archaic way of thinking? I wouldn't say it was archaic. It was just what we knew. Mm-hmm. We now know more than what we did before. And so with things changing, they want to innovate. And like I said, they're innovating to get our money, of course, but they also want to improve the space, I think. But money is the motivator. I get that.
Well, and the thing is, like businesses, especially in the gaming industry, when it comes to new consoles and stuff like that, especially, Microsoft is kind of on eggshells after the launch of the Xbox One. They've also got to take a much more, cautious approach sometimes. And what may seem like archaic to some people, maybe, is just what they're looking for. Because if you make too much of a big jump or a big change on people, you can lose a lot of people. And so, unfortunately, it's got to be something gradual. And yeah, I'm like a lot of us that, like tech nerds and things like that would love to see things advance highly, but it just, like from a business stance, it just can't happen too quickly.
Right. I mean, gradual changes in tech are smart. It takes time, but also sometimes the technology just isn't there as well. But to answer the second part of this question, is this the step where consoles become more like gaming PCs in terms of scaling and features? We're on our way there. We're absolutely way there, and that's very clear. I mean, I remember when they first adopted cloud gaming, like cloud saves. That's when I knew.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
makes sense.
And I think the visual test will be Halo Infinite, right? It's whoever has a Series X versus a PC versus an Xbox One, right? Like I think you're going to start seeing smaller changes there too, and that's when people will really get it, I think.
Yeah. I mean, to take this question one step forward, something I'd like to see, when we're getting back into this kind of modular technology, I'm hoping that is kind of the way that we move, that you do buy one box and you can swap out the components very easily with these modular pieces that you can buy. I mean, I there's part of me that knows that won't be the way it goes because everybody is trying to reduce their carbon footprint, and that leads to or waste when it comes to things like that. But maybe if they somehow figure out how to make these more incremental and it's over time, and it's so instead of producing whole new boxes, producing boards that can be swapped in and out of a box potentially. I don't know. Mm-hmm. I feel like, I'd hope that's what we could kind of get, maybe, because I'm tired of buying a new box every 5 years. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, it's a long time, but still, then we've got all these boxes that are just sitting around. So if it switched to a box that just works, and then we're switching these boards out that they could be recycled and used in other products, potentially that's solving our problem. Who knows?
Yeah.
But I'm excited about the future. As long as I can play my games whenever I want, wherever I am. That's what I want.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think the only thing that I feel like might be an issue, and I mean it's some, if people do it on PC all the time, but like I could see them, like right now if you try to open your Xbox, there's like little things on it that like if you open it, it basically breaks your warranty. Mm-hmm. And so like there's like little things like that they probably worry about, and like if someone tries to put it in and wrong and something breaks or something, then do that.
The Xbox is built with the Xbox just being the Xbox in mind.
Yeah.
If it's built with people moving things and changing things in mind, I feel like that's a different conversation.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move on to our next question from Samantha Cross. She writes in and asks, what third-party ports are still missing from the Switch that you would like to see?
We talked about it. Mario 3D World.
That's a first-party game.
I would
I want that one.
I know. I do too.
Nothing else.
I would like to see the Persona like full Persona games come over to Switch. Like stuff like that I just feel like would be good on the Switch. Like I would play it on the Switch. Like it just, I don't know. There's
I mean, Persona 4 was the reason to own the Vita for a long time, so
absolutely.
Some argue say it's the only reason to own a Vita, but
I want to see
knock off that mess.
I want Danganronpa real bad on the Switch.
Yeah,
that'd be wonderful.
Man,
I can't imagine there's a lot of third parties that haven't been touched that I want over on my Switch, given that a lot of times third party games I want to be on a more powerful like 4K display. And the way that cloud streaming is going, we'll get that because a lot of our devices do that, which is nice because that's going to force Nintendo to adapt however Nintendo chooses to adapt. They never go according to what you might see.
Exactly, which I love about them.
Agreed. It makes them special in a world where Sony and Microsoft are very, very similar. Even with their differences, they're similar.
Almost predictable to a point.
Yep.
So, yeah. Uh-huh.
Yep, but I think they've knocked out the heavy hitters. I mean, Witcher 3, the fact that exists on a Switch is neat. Doom exists. I mean, they've knocked out a lot of the heavy hitters. What are they missing? A Call of Duty at this point?
I think that's the one big one is Call of Duty. Absolutely.
I still like. For me, I think it would be something like a Madden style game on Switch.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
FIFA, don't they? They already have FIFA, right?
Yeah, it's real bad.
I don't think it's up to date. Yeah, it's not where it's supposed. Where the others are, I suppose, is the right way.
It plays well. It's not the version of the game that people want.
It's a Switch version of the game. Got
it. It's doing better than that. What is it? Borderlands on Stadia, rocking that October 2019 edition.
I will say another one that should be on the Switch that's not on the Switch is Borderlands.
Yeah,
that's a good point. Yeah. There we go. See, we got some answers out of that.
Like when the Game of the Year edition of 1 was announced, like I feel like that was just like an easy win for them if they would have just put that, even if it was just digitally, right? Because Gearbox put Bulletstorm on Switch randomly. Like, why wouldn't they put their biggest game on Switch? You know what I mean?
I did think that was weird, but I also feel like it was that might have been a time versus money deal, and they had people trying to make Borderlands 3 work, so who knows?
I owned Borderlands 2 on my Vita. Don't tell me it couldn't have happened.
I know,
right? Shame they didn't make it.
That's the version of the Vita that I bought, was that Borderlands version. So, man, this is impressive that it technically functions on this small machine, but
I bought a PSP and then I never fell for that trick again. Although the PSP was great.
Hey, I love my Vita and my PSP. Guess what? Sony didn't love the Vita as much as I did. I'll say it.
Right. I'm right with you, Ray. With you.
I had 4 games for my PSP. I had 2 God of War games, the Kingdom Hearts game, and Final Fantasy Tactics War of the Lions were the 4 games I owned for PSP.
Man, I had so many random PSP games. So many.
I had a Naruto game for it, but it was all in Japanese, so I couldn't read it. Because it was the only way I could. At that time, I think it was the only way that I could get a really good the Naruto Ultimate Ninja, the fighting games or whatever.
Mm-hmm. Ultimate Ninja Storm games.
Yeah, I think they started on that only in Japan for a little while or something. I don't remember what it was or why it was that I couldn't play them, but that was at the time. I think they were only in Japan on the PSP, and then eventually they started coming to like PS3 and Xbox 360 and stuff, but yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to our next question. Hendrix Pasternak writes in. He says, "Hey guys, it's been a while since I wrote in. I'm really enjoying your recent shows, and I really think y'all are hitting your stride. Antonio was a great guest last week too. Thank you, Hendrix. Appreciate that. Do you guys think Sony not going to E3 benefits Xbox and Nintendo, or do you think it's smart?"
I'll start this off. I honestly think it's both. Like it could technically be both.
Yeah.
I think that it's, like last year, I'll be honest, Xbox got to show more games, that might have, possibly went to Sony's stage or to their show, some of those games. And for the first time ever, I actually watched the PC show, and I felt like they had a lot of really good games on there that probably were, would have either went to Sony's or somewhere else or whatever. And so, I feel like like them not being there last year kind of gave everyone else, a couple more things that they could show and just kind of really knock a whole bunch of things out. Because I don't know, I loved E3 last year. And then at the same time, if they're really being serious about trying to do their own thing when it comes to their shows and they're showing off their stuff and all that, and kind of doing, taking a page from Nintendo's book, then I say more power to them. I think it could be a smart thing to do if they want to try to take their stuff a different direction than what they've been doing, because I'll be honest, the last couple of times really hasn't worked for them. Like their last E3 appearance, there was a whole big debacle, and people just found it really confusing, and just it just didn't go over as well as they hoped it would, I feel like. Yeah. And so maybe that's the thing is, with everything's changing in this business, so maybe they seen that and they said, maybe we need to make some changes too. I don't, so I mean, look at Nintendo's changed quite a bit in their ways of thinking. A lot is evolving. And I feel like these kind of things are going to go right along with the evolution of where things are going. I think things are going to change, and with more people streaming and doing stuff on, online and on Twitch and on, all those things, I feel like there's just so many more people that are focused or, interacting with online content. And so it's, at this time they can do something online and not need E3 to get their message out there. But at the same time, I do think initially this year that it might affect the exposure of them not being at E3, but I don't think it's a significant amount. But there are still a lot of people who will watch E3, and that might be the only big, gaming video type stuff that they watch this year. And if Sony's not there, they're not going to see what they're, what they have to say, But I think that's a very small amount of people, though.
So I mean, this one is an interesting question, because I feel I love change. I'll preface this with this. I love change. I love that thing. We are seeing so much change in the video game industry, some good, some bad. but we're going to learn from change regardless. I think that Sony knows that people are different in the way that they are consuming their content. They don't necessarily count on an IGN or just the news and journal to deliver them their video game news. They know that. And if Sony decides to do anything, people are going to cover it regardless because it's Sony and there's something about the PlayStation. So it'll get picked up somewhere. You'll see it somehow. But I think it's smart, but it's also one of those things where any exposure is good exposure, but I guess if you're trying to control your own narrative, to do it your own way is the best way to go. And I feel like that's what Sony's doing. But does it benefit Xbox and Nintendo? Oh, absolutely, because it's one less thing for people to pay attention to during that that news roundup for that week.
It benefits. You go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I want to hear that. Go ahead.
Well, I think it benefits all of them. Yeah. Microsoft, it was something, I think it was Imran Khan, former Game Informer, now with Kind of Funny, suggested that it's something like $40-50 million for a big company to buy in, have that type of messaging. That is a ludicrous amount of money for something that Nintendo has shown us can be done in a direct. There's a news cycle outlet to that, and that factors in. But Microsoft has the former Nokia, now Microsoft Theater, which I had the pleasure of being at last year, and it's wonderful, but it's on site, but it's not part of E3, so they've got a reduced cost there and kind of an embedded win-win scenario. If they're there, they're the good guys. If they're not there, they can still do their own thing without the same type of wallet hit. Similarly, Nintendo is going to garner attention however and whenever they want. They can tell you that Pokemon's going to have a direct tomorrow, and everyone's going to tune in their own news cycle. And Sony not being there means they save that money, and they do control their own narrative. I think it is E3 needs to go in the way that it exists now. It should become a consumer show if they're going to become a consumer show, or not, but they can't do the dance in between any longer. The ESA thing destroyed any credibility they have with journalists. Which is a factor there. But does it benefit? It benefits all of them for Sony not to go because you don't speak unless you have something to say. And it certainly hasn't hurt because they're at 105 million units. So none of us can argue the data in any of these things.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So that it's just the simple way about it,
I appreciate that, and this is what I was. Thank you for taking it there. E3 itself needs to inherently change. It needs to do something different. Well, like I said earlier, I love change. If E3 does not change, E3 is going to die a sad and miserable death slowly, and we don't want to see that. We grew up, and I know most of us did. We grew up loving the idea of E3. E3 was the pinnacle gaming thing. You love to see E3. You love to hear anything about E3 because that's when you learn the coolest stuff about the stuff that we love. And I loved it. It's just, I hate to see it slowly descend into what it's becoming. I made a joke the other day about, I'll never get to go to an E3. And that joke was partly true. I'll never get to go to an E3 the way that we grew up seeing it.
Yeah,
that doesn't exist anymore.
It's gone.
It doesn't. Yeah, it's a dead thing because times have changed. I would still like to go to an E3 because I still feel like it's an experience, but E3 is going to have to do something. Or else I'm not gonna make it.
Well,
time is of the essence.
Also, to that point on E3 not being what it used to be, right? Like, a lot of people forget that Sony kind of centralized the head of PlayStation in Europe, and Europe has Gamescom, right? And they've kind of made Paris Games Week their thing too. So in the past, not necessarily like every year, but in the past they've done Paris Games Week. So like if you're going to centralize your heads of PlayStation in Europe, why would you spend all that money to come to I know Sony has a US branch, but like why would you spend all that money when you have Gamescom right there pretty much at your back door? Or, and plus what, E3 maxed out at what, like 60,000 people last year, roughly? Gamescom has over 300,000 people attend. So if you're going to have games announced for your new box, why don't you go where there's more people and you have more fans in that space? And you know what I mean? Like, I just feel like them going to E3 is a story because we think about it as a, like, I don't know, as we live here. E3 is our show, but PlayStation kind of looks at Europe as kind of, it almost seems like Europe's their home base now. And maybe that's the way they're looking at it too.
What I would say is Sony saw the writing on the wall and made the changes necessary for them to be the most successful.
No, I agree with you too there. I'm just saying that was, I was thinking about that too.
Which is good because time zones matter. They know where their audiences are. I'm pretty sure they have all the data for this.
Yeah.
And so, you go where your biggest audience is. I get it. It's not like we're not going to watch a Sony, state of play. We're absolutely going to watch it. But the thing is, we can watch it at any time.
Right.
It makes it easy for them.
And more to the point, if you can't watch it, you can find out the info very quickly.
Yeah.
Very quickly. Exactly. So
instantly.
I do think it's absolutely smart for them to not be at E3.
Yeah.
I'm not going to say that it's not smart for Xbox and Nintendo to be at E3. It's just, again, E3 has to change. I want it to do better. I want it to be better. And I also want Xbox and Nintendo to continue to focus on more of their own directed content at their fans specifically. I want to see more of that.
Yeah.
Just like I want PlayStation Experience to come back. That was one of the coolest things I'd ever been to, video game wise, was PlayStation Experience.
Yeah.
Give me more of that. Give me one for Xbox. Give me one for Nintendo.
How do you have the best exclusives, the most systems out there, and not celebrate yourself? It was a very odd choice. Yeah. Very odd choice. When XO's going on, and that's a successful show, which was cool, and then Nintendo's doing its thing. Why would you not have a PSX?
Doesn't PlayStation have their own theater in New York too? Like, isn't there a PlayStation theater in New York?
I actually don't know that off the top of my head.
That sounds right, and I feel like I remember that conversation when PSVR was a thing, having like ringside and experiences.
If only we had several devices right in front of us to look this up.
There's no way to find out. There's no way to know, guys.
It's all done live in a contained room where we have no access to any other devices. So
PlayStation Theater is on Broadway in New York. So
there you go.
These little boxes that you're seeing us in, we're trash.
Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, I agree with you guys. I think E3 has to change, and I think, Nintendo's been doing it for a while, and Xbox has kind of moved that direction with the Microsoft Theater, and Sony clearly knows what they're doing now with this. I think E3 is not what it used to be, and that's good and bad. I think E3 just has to figure out what it wants to be, and they can't be in this middle ground of half journalists and half fans. Like, you need to choose and aim what you want it to be in that direction and just go for it, or else you're not going to see E3 anymore.
And I think they could do both, but they would have to literally be the days that they record and stream the shows are just the media, and then after everything is done, then the people can come in and do their thing, the next couple of days later. But to mix everything all in at once, it just makes it just a hassle for all the people that are there trying to do their job, I feel like.
Yeah.
So that I think that, like, honestly, that's probably the best way to go about doing it, is just let it be what E3 used to be first, and then let people come in and be able to experience all the stuff that they got to watch. Yeah. These companies talk about and stuff like that.
Yeah. All right. We're going to wrap the show up with this last question here. We've been recording for quite some time, so we're going to wrap it up with this question. Greg Osterman III asks a simple question. He says, "Hello, crew. What are your most anticipated games that you think are coming in 2020, and what do you hope releases this year?" Well, I think what I hope is coming this year, I hope Nintendo does have Breath of the Wild 2 slated for this year. I mean, it's been 3.5 years. They have an all hands on deck approach, it seems like, with their internal teams, plus Monolith Soft has 2 of their studios working on it. I know there are some people at other studios that are asset creating for this game. I do hope that game is all hands on deck coming this year. But in terms of new games coming this year, like, I honestly don't really even know what to think, except for Halo Infinite is kind of at the top of my list. I know a lot of people are looking forward to Cyberpunk and Final Fantasy VII. But I truly think that Halo Infinite is probably confirmed 2020 games. Halo Infinite is the game that I'm looking forward to the most. So
for me, it's it's a mix between like Breath of the Wild 2, if that's a thing, and Resident Evil 3 remake. I'm looking forward to as well.
nice.
Luke, go for it.
Oh man, I got a lot that I'm looking forward to this year. Don't play with me. I tweeted that a few days ago. My list is extensive, ranging from indie, AA to AAA. In the swimming in sevens category, man, I'm stoked for Zombie Army 4, which is a Rebellion game. Darksiders Genesis.
Yes.
Looking forward to that. Gears Tactics kind of ramps up. RE3, Ghost of Tsushima. Lego Star Wars is there. I'm just reading my list now. Disintegration. If you guys have not seen that, it's from the creator of Halo. Looking good. Doom Eternal.
Yeah, Disintegration
let's
looks
see.
great.
Carrion is a good indie title.
I feel like far too long.
Yep. Preach, brother. Right there with you. Yakuza's coming to Xbox. Stoked for that.
Yeah.
I mean, gosh, guys, we are. And then like there are our evergreen live service games are all putting out new content. Sea of Thieves, Master Chief, Battlefront, those are the ones I've talked about. But then, you got the heavy hitters that were delayed, but theoretically you got Cyberpunk, what is it? Avengers, if that ends up working. Of course, Halo Infinite. And, that game that they won't stop torturing me with. Whatever it is that has the Dark Knight Batman in there, come on. Where is it?
Teasing. These teasers are bad now.
Thank you. There's a point of diminishing returns, and we pass it, and I won't care. I'll buy it anyway, whatever.
Hey,
but come on.
Stop hurting my feelings, please.
That's right. There's my list of things that I've just, not that I've thought about it before. I don't know.
Oh, not at all.
That's just off the top of your head.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not gonna repeat the games because everything that they just said, I'm excited about, and I want those. Those are everything they just said are my anticipated games. All of those. But some ones that I hope release this year. There have been rumors about a sequel to the Order 1886. I want that so bad.
Yes.
It was one of my favorite PlayStation exclusives.
Yes.
I love the setting.
Talk about swimming in sevens.
Give me more of give me that. I loved it. It's one of my favorite things. Please, I want more Bayonetta this year.
The more
I would love to have Bayonetta. And then if possible, just please, and I'm gonna spread this up every time, and this is my last one. Please give me the Metroid Prime trilogy.
Yep.
Please give me that.
Can we go back? Can we go back to the Order real quick?
Of course, I love the Order.
There's a rumor that it's coming to Series X as well. And
which is fine.
Probably
definitely.
Xbox One. But Sony published that first game. Does that mean that Ready at Dawn retained the rights to the Order and Sony just kind of let it go?
I think so, and that's why we hadn't seen much about it. I think that's truly why.
Because I would love that. Seems like the perfect game. Like right before that game comes out, that Microsoft would put on Game Pass.
Oh, absolutely.
So
I don't know about the first one, and I only saw the headline for the second one. So, but Ready at Dawn clearly wants to do something with that. They were a PSP studio at one point.
Yeah, they made the God of War PSP games,
which are fantastic games. Some of my favorite God of War games were on the PSP.
Ghost of Sparta,
and one awesome. Of the that's right. And one of the problems when you have an exclusive game is that if it is a 7 and you're resting the merit of a console on something like that, then it's going to be punished that much worse, which is why I think a lot of people were down on Order 1886. It happened the same thing with Crackdown and Sea of Thieves at the time. You can't carry a platform's exclusives on a game that's good, not great, right? Mm-hmm. So if they can keep the Order and make it worthwhile, whether it's exclusive or not, there's something to it. The ending of that game showed a promise of a world that was greater than the sum of its parts in 1886. So if it comes to Series X, fantastic. If it just comes to PC, and that's where the rumor came from, fine. Yes, get more people into that world. Just don't abandon an IP.
They really did.
They did.
Does anybody else have a Galahad statue bookending their special edition statue somewhere?
I did have it. I sold it. I sold it. I gave it to somebody.
I have enough stuff.
I have my Galahad statue up there bookending my shelf of toys that people can't see, which was probably a mistake. I probably should have put all this stuff behind me as like a cool kind of background, but I did not do that. It was really.
Well, you're not cool on the internet unless you do that. I hope you know.
I know. That's why Ray's the coolest one of us.
Let's go ahead and gate everything.
That's literally just amiibos. It's amiibos and pops.
But you can see
I got a kitchen back here.
But Ray,
guys, I have my
can...
Darksiders 3 statue over there, and slide it upon.
You're welcome. Yep. Secrets out.
Phil Spencer signed that skateboard over there. Just throwing that. He did.
That's a real thing. He did sign that. That is my pride and joy. It's my pride and joy.
Yeah. One other game, just really quick, that I was thinking of that I would really like to see this year is Mario Rabbids 2.
Yeah, I mean there's a rumor that Nintendo and Ubisoft do have a collaboration announcement this year, so that'll be. Okay. I would love because I've been making new intros for all of our shows, and so that requires some gameplay recording, Mario plus Rabbids was one of those games, and I forgot how great that game actually is.
What if their collaboration this year is giving me Golden Sun again? I'm adding that to my list. Give me something Golden Sun.
What if it's a Golden Sun Assassin's Creed style open world game?
I don't know how much I would love that. You laugh, but I would absolutely enjoy that.
I'm not laughing. I was being halfway serious, except that Gods and Monsters will probably be coming out, which is another game I'm really looking forward to.
Add it to the list.
That game, the only thing I've seen is that 2-minute CG trailer, but it's from the Assassin's Creed Odyssey team. It looks like Breath of the Wild. It's going to fantastical Greek.
It's just the idea of it.
Yeah.
Like literally, I'm in love with the idea.
Right.
I just can't wait to see how it's executed.
Yeah. So,
I'm still waiting on that Switch game from like three E3s ago or whatever, the one with where your sidekick was the Boston Terrier. And it was like it was like a Zelda game almost, but it was.
You mean Breath of the Wild with the Wolf Link amiibo?
No, it was the kid with the Boston Terrier. It was based on.
I know what you're talking about.
On like a book series that was being written.
Yeah, no.
But they said that they weren't ever going to be able to get to the game until the book series was done. But I haven't heard anything more about that. And so many people were clamoring online that really wanted that game to happen.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. I can't remember the name, but it kind of reminded me of like almost a modern day Fable-ish type game.
Yeah, it was very, very much like.
Add that to the list too. Fable, if it's real.
We're gonna see Fable. We'll see Fable this year be announced for sure.
Yeah.
I had almost bet money on it.
Yeah, Fable, man. I hope it's not. Do you think it's going to be Fable 4? Or do you think it's just going to be Fable?
Fable Infinite.
It'll have a different name. But it'll basically be in the same continuity, I think. I'd hope, actually. That's what I'm hoping. It's in the same continuity, but like they drop the number.
Yeah. What if they do it? What if they do a Fable game like that, but only it's actually more like a WoW or something, where it's something that they just keep on continuously adding to, or like a Final Fantasy Online, or like all those kind of games, like where. Huh?
Live service Fable?
Yeah. Like I think that would be kind of cool.
Maybe I just for that world they would have to add a lot.
Yeah.
To make it viable.
Yeah.
There wasn't a whole lot like in terms of magical weapons that made that interesting. I thought it was more the story of the choice that you had, how you interacted with the world. Special. I think that's my personal take on that one.
Yeah.
So potentially.
Yeah, or like a Elder Scrolls Online. I feel like that game had a lot going on, even in the initial, release of it. I feel like they had a lot. There was a lot to experience, and then they just kept on adding to it. And it's like at this point, I haven't been on it in a long time, but I can only imagine that there's so much stuff to do on that game that I'd probably be lost and confused. But. I don't know. I think that kind of game could possibly work.
Yeah.
Good.
And I mean, how many years has it been since we've gotten the last one?
Too many.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, we got Fable. We got Fable the Journey for Connect, but I don't think anybody wants to.
Rude. Why bring it up? Rude. Rude.
Same thing. That's absolute wow. How dare you?
Hey, you asked me when the last Fable game was. We also got
we asked when the last Fable game was. That don't count.
It sure
That
does.
that was a Fable experience.
It was a game.
Yeah.
That was a Fable experience.
You could go like
Well,
this
was that-
to make your horse go faster. I think.
Does that mean that the Link like bow and arrow game and stuff that was for the Wii counts as a Zelda game?
Yep.
That's a Zelda experience once again.
Man. Speaking of experiences, this has been the Boss Rush podcast. I want to thank everybody so much for watching live on Mixer and Twitch. I want to thank everybody for listening. You can catch us every Tuesday on your podcast service of choice, including Spotify and iHeartRadio, your streaming podcast apps, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, and Stitcher. Luke, thank you for joining us. Why don't you plug your stuff
My
one more
absolute
time?
pleasure.
Yeah.
Incredible guest, my friend.
Yes.
Thank you.
Why don't
Thank
you
you so
plug
much,
your
guys.
stuff one more time for us?
Oh, goodness. I host a weekly Xbox podcast discussing the goings-on of the Gamerverse called Xbox Expansion Pass, or XEP, and that's available on all podcast services. You can find me on Twitter at InsipidGhost, and I will return to streaming over on Mixer at mixer.com/InsipidGhost accordingly.
Awesome. Yeah, I really appreciate you coming on. This was a blast.
Yeah.
Jesse, where can we find you?
You can find me almost anywhere as Phantom NXS.
Nice. Ray.
Oh, yes. Well, I'm Ray Apollo, and that's RayAPollo. And you can find me just about anywhere online as that as well. But I want you to focus on Twitch, Twitter, and YouTube. Look for Ray Apollo, no space, in those three places. And that's where you find my stuff that I'm proud of.
Awesome. You can find
That's some
me,
amazing stuff.
of course, at CorianHD713 on Twitter and CorianHD on Instagram and Mixer. You can also find me on the Nintendo Power Block podcast that I host with Ed, our normal host of this show. He's at that retro code. You can also find all of our content on bossrushgames.com and find all of our podcasts at bossrushgames.com/subscribe. Remember to rate and review this podcast on your podcast service of choice. It helps with discoverability. And follow us on Twitch and Mixer at Boss Rush Games Live. We really appreciate it. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and check out all of our content on bossrushgames.com. And until next week, we love you.
Throw up the X.
That show, Jesse.